Hello, welcome back to things that I've created with AI. I've used several different AIs to work through a lot of this stuff. Kiro, Google's AI Studio, Microsoft Copilot. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, and that'll be something to go over some other time. So I have three applications: a job search, a health tracker, and a voice synthesizer. Demonic voices. And now I've got a fourth one, an API manager. There's a need for API managers, even with just having such a small amount of programs that there's multiple APIs, there's locations, there's health checks, and these things should be consolidated in one place. And often businesses struggle with this for a variety of reasons, and this is going to answer some of those reasons. One of the major reasons is they have to buy software, and this software is free. It's on my GitHub, and it can be taken and modified and all sorts of good stuff. That being said, this is still the beginning of the design of all these applications. Right now, they just live locally on my PC. Later, it'll be in AWS. So that's the reason why. Here's Curia API, Clear IPI, or down here in the Romanji, and it's got its own little icon, and it's got its own little icon up here in the tab, which could be better, but fast follows and phase twos and stuff like that. Right now, it's empty, and these are three independent applications for including Curia, and there's a process for bringing in the APIs. So with Curia, I've built an installer. And this installer over here is a C# program that generates an executable file. And that executable file would be run during the build phase in Azure DevOps. And it would update the code for Curia API. And it'll add code to support it. So let's go ahead and get through to that next part. Here's the generated installer. So we're going to copy that. And then we're going to go to Curia itself, which for some reason keeps going to the other window. So this is the API for Curia. And since it's an API, it belongs inside the API manager. So we're going to click on our APIs folder, and we're going to paste the executable in there. So if we look right now, this is what it looks like at present. It's very short, program CS. It's got a collector class, and it's got a controller class to host our API. So what we're going to do is we'll go down to the terminal, which I've already had set up, and we're going to run the installer. Okay, so let's see what it did. We close the controller and the executable here. We did a program. It added these usings, which I know is not a huge deal, but these are necessary to run the application. Then it created this Curia controller, and it's going to, this method is going to push it out. And then this very brief method here is a health check, and that's going to come into play later. It also generated this class here, which is one that analyzes the C# project that it's in and finds out all the information about it. So we ran it, it generated those things. Now we're going to do .NET build. And .NET run. So now our API is up and running. That is the backend to this application here. But we're not quite done yet. So that method that I created in Curia over here, the push method, we need to run it. So we're going to take the port and host that it's running on. And we'll go up here and I'm going to paste it in here. Now that's just going to take us to the API. So we're just going to put a slash and see Curia and push. We're going to hit enter and it says it was synced. So we go over here. Now there's nothing to really kick this off, so we're going to have to refresh the screen. Oh, there it did it by itself. You'll see a green dot here, click on here. And so it created this Swagger file, which is kind of like the default. And here's our two methods that were added for Curia API. If we go over to code map, we'll see what happens. A web method is called, it's a post type, it does these three kind of things in the database, and these are the tables that it affects. So this is a nice map to know what's being affected in the database. If I click on ownership, you'll see that business owner, business department, IT owner, IT department, system name, API name, and then the number of lines of code and the number of files. Now, where did this information come from? Well, if we go back, there was a file that I should have mentioned earlier, Curia API config.json. And this has those pieces of information. And this information is picked up by the Curia reporter and sent over to the application. So as a part of building your program, you're going to create this very simple JSON with that information in it. Now, there's a limited amount of information there. You probably want to put Bladrak's phone number in there and his email address, and the same thing with the IT owner, their email address, their department's email address, and things like that. Anything that would be good for reaching out to the people that own this if something should go wrong. But this is fairly flexible, and it's only driven by this JSON file, which is easy to change. Might take a little bit of small amount of programming on the UI side here and on the API, getting the information, the collector API, but really nothing too difficult. So we go over to packages, and these are all the packages that are in use by the programming. And for security, it's got whether there's an update available, if it can find one. It checks out on the internet and says, oh, there's a newer version of this out there than the one that you're using. And ostensibly, you could take this information and then create a work item of some sort and go ahead and upgrade these items. And then over here, we have the health log. And as soon as we imported the application, it checked, hey, is it healthy? And its status right now is healthy. This is latency and ping successful. Right now, it's been 100% stable for the last 500 entries in this logging table, and there's no downtime. We go over the settings. We have our ping interval, which is in minutes, uh, display time zone, health log retention, and all of that. So we're going to change this over to America, New York. Apply the time zone American New York to all managed APIs. We're going to say yes, but the other APIs aren't in place yet. So we're going to hit OK on that. And that means that over here, this is the time in Eastern Standard Time, which is helpful. A lot of times you'll go into a log and you'll be like, is this UTC? What time zone is this? How far off is it? Do I need to do a calculation just to figure out when this happened? The user said something happened at a certain time. Um, you know, you shouldn't have to do any kind of calculations to figure that kind of stuff out. So we're going to move along to the voice application. And before we do that, let's go over here and copy our executable file and go ahead and put that in the voice file, voice API. Okay, so now that's in place. If we look at our program CS, you can see these are the items that are in here. And this needs to be deleted because it's already using OpenAPI. There we go. So now we got no errors in this file. So what we're going to do, just like we did last time, it's fairly simple. You can almost see putting release steps in here if you wanted to do it that way. To run this executable, probably even copy the executable in to the repo. Okay, and it's finished. So now we can look and you can see this is what it added and this is what it commented out. And again, it's added this reporter class and the courier controller. So it's all automated. So now we go ahead, well, let's look at, we need to do a .NET build. And .NET run. So now our API is running and it's at this address right now. So we can go over here, we'll close that, open a new tab. There's our guy, Curia push. When you click on that, it ran it, it's synced. We're going to go over here, and there's our demonic voices application. It's already added in. And we can always delete this, and if we had to make changes and rerun it, or we can actually rerun this push after making changes, and it will reflect the changes up here. So we click on Demonic Voices API, and you see the different pieces of it. This is again added by Curia, and this is live and running. We click execute, it's going to run it, and we're going to get the information back from that API. So you'll notice up here, this is the server that it's running on. Even though it's being hosted here with my Curia API, it is running on the actual, I want to say machine, but for now it's just a port. So let's go ahead and repeat that process for the next application, which would be the job search. So we'll snap some of this up to make it a little bit easier to read. You can see our config file is in here already, and we need to copy this guy again. Notice I'm using the same file, so it works regardless. And click on our API folder and paste it on in there. This one was actually running, so we'll stop it. We're going to run our installer. Okay, it's all good. And you can see it created our .NET class, and in our controller, it created the Curia controller. No big deals. Down here, we will do .NET build and .NET run. Okay, and we're running again. So we'll just go ahead and take our address that it's running on. And come on up here, we'll close that. Open it. And we'll run this. It says synced. We'll go over here. We'll give it a second. And there it goes. There's the job search API. You'll notice that it recorded where it's running, even though up here it says that it's on port 8000. It's got its own code map, its own ownership page, its own packages, and its own health log, which just has the one item in it. And in the settings here, it says 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes, it's going to call this. But if I'm impatient, I can always click this button and it will run again. So less than a minute later, we have another successful ping. So we have one more application to go. So we go and copy the installer. And then we're going to open our health application. Let's make it a little easier to read. And we're going to paste our file in here. Again, you can see there's Curia config file. The installer did not go where I wanted it to, so let's drag it down here. All right, perfect. Now this API is not running at present. We're going to run the installer. Which is great. Do a build. I'm going to do a .NET run. Now at this point, it hasn't been integrated into Curia. We'll go over here. We can close this. Let's go back. It's running on port 5181. We'll open up a new tab, paste that on there. I've been there before. And it's synced. Let's go to Curia. Give me a minute. There it goes. And there's our health API with all its own complexities in there. And its own code map, its own ownership, packages, and health log. We do another ping really quick there. And its own settings. Now, if we come in here, now that they're all in here, we'll go America, New York, apply to all the APIs, and then if I go to Job Search API and settings, it should say America, New York. This one already did. We'll go to Demonic Voices, and so they're all in the same time zone. And like I said, this is like the beginning of the application, but it's pretty cool. Okay, so while it's running in the controller API for Curia, it's got a service, and that service is running and it's calling all the APIs to check if they're healthy every 5 minutes. Pretty simple. So what happens? Let's go ahead and let's take one of them down. Click on here and let's take Demonic Voices down. So we'll go on our terminal here and Control C, and it's not running. Now it's not going to notice right away because it's going to do it every 5 minutes. So we'll go to Health Log Ping Service. And it's down. And you can see over here now it's got this active incidents, demonic voices, it's down, and we can see it over here. And what would happen if we weren't already in demonic voices, it would bring it up here, make it active, and bring it directly to the health log. So if you had this open on a screen at work, you would immediately see that, hey, this API went down. And you can see how long it's been down, give or take, since the last time there was a ping. It's not a counter, it's basically using this information to figure it out. So let's do another ping, still going to be down. There we go, and it did another ping in the meantime. So when something's down, it does a ping every 1 minute instead of every 5 minutes. That's not configurable at present. It's just faster because, when things are broken, everyone's kind of going crazy. Or we can just click the button again. And there we go. So it's down. It's been down for a little while. Let's go ahead and go back to the API and let's get it running again. There we go. It's running. Oh, look, it's green over here. So let's just click off of it, click back on, go to health one, and there it is. It's healthy at 10, 28, and 23 seconds, and now it's back to running every 5 minutes, and it tells you how long that last downtime was and when that last time ended. And it's telling us it's been up for 1 minute and 9 seconds. Ooh, okay. And it'll do that for all of them, and all the swaggers are functional. So basically, an alteration in the process of promoting your APIs to the different environments can have this centralized management functionality. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for your time.